Are you all able to hear me? Everybody quickly, is my audio clear right now? Are you all able to listen to me? Yes, hello. Okay, I understand that my initial audio was not clear. So everybody, good evening and welcome to your very own BYJU'S 9th and 10th grade channel. I'm your teacher Aishwarya and I hope that my audio, my video and my screen and what I'm writing on the screen is visible to all of you. If it is, everybody give me a quick thumbs up in the chat to let me know that we are not facing any technical difficulties. Yes, give me a quick thumbs up. All right, yes ma'am, it is audible. Okay, amazing. Thank you. So now, as you all know, our class today is going to be a live solving of the full syllabus mock paper for social sciences. Now, as you all know, right, earlier in the week when we started out our plan for social sciences, we started off with a 9-day roadmap session, right? Now, in the 9-day roadmap session, we had attached this particular PDF, right? Now, for those of you who said, ma'am, yesterday as well when we had a YouTube short, I understood that for some of you the PDF was not opening, right? So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to go to the 9-day roadmap session and I will share that particular PDF with you and let me know if the link is opening for all of you. Yes, so I'm going to be sharing you another drive link on the chat. So just give me one moment. All right, so I'm going to share this particular thing with you in the live chat for those of you who were not able to access the PDF yesterday. I'm going to share the PDF with you all right now. Yes, I have shared it with you on the chat. Try to copy this and open this. You will be able to find the PDF, right? So as you all know, we had shared it in that particular session as well. And now again, what we're going to do is, in case if it was not accessible, do not worry. We are going to be solving it. Right? And of course, everybody in this class today, Ankita ma'am may not be able to join, right? So it's just going to be me, which is why all your queries that are related to history and political science, please make sure that you all check it out, right? I mean, whatever you have, I'll try my best to solve it. But as you all know, I'm your geography and I mainly help you with geography and economics. So if whatever deep detailed doubts with history and, political science, I may not be able to help you out. I have sent it on the live chat and what I will do is I will share it with you on Telegram also. So you might all be able to access the link that I might share on Telegram. So try to see if this particular thing that I have shared on Telegram is opening for all of you. Ideally, you should be able to check it. Link is available in the Telegram channel. The description for the Telegram channel is available in the link for the Telegram channel is available in the description below. Yes? Okay, check out the Telegram channel. We will be able to find it, right? Everyone open Telegram. It will be there. Okay? Now, in this class, as I told you, it is going to be, I will mainly be doing the questions, right? We're going to be question answer solving. We are not going to be doing a lot of, we'll not go into the details of teaching and understanding, but mainly what we are going to do is we will have an understanding of how to solve these questions, right? So what I will do, today's class is going to be 1.5 hours, okay? We are not going to take longer than that because your time is precious, right? You have to study for your IT exam also, which is there on Monday. So since your time is precious, 1.5 hours is our target, right? By 6:30, we will wind this up, okay? So everybody quickly hit the like button to mark your attendance and let's get started. Because you know that when we say BYJU'S 9 and 10 has got you covered, we have quite literally got you covered, yes? Telegram link is available in the description below. Now let's get started. Now, as you all know, right, in this particular case, when we start off any mock paper, your general instructions are important. So you have section A, section B, section C, D, E, right? And all of these are important, yes? Now, the thing is, in the mock paper, your section D and E kind of got interchanged, right? Ideally, your E section should be your case-based, but in this particular mock paper, section D became the case-based questions, but not a problem, right? So it's okay. As you all know, even though there's been some ulta pulta, but the number of questions are pretty much the same, right? So in the mock paper, your D and E sections got interchanged, but it's okay. At the end of the day, what we need to focus on is solving those questions. So first up, we are going to have a look at section A, which has all your objective based questions, right? So for your objective based questions, we are going to get started. Now the first one is a history based question. Today, as you all know, I may not be able to do YouTube polls because I don't have the team support today. It's just me, right? So everybody, please be patient with me, okay? The Treaty of Constantinople was signed when? This is just an assessment of what you have studied so far, right? It's only an assessment, which is why I'm going to be very fast. What is the correct answer? Everybody in the chat, very quickly. Yes? What is the answer for this particular question? When was the Treaty of Constantinople signed? And once you have given me the answer, can you tell me why this was signed as well? Very quickly. Others who have finished answering, can you help your friends with the Telegram link as well on the live chat so that they are able to access it? Very good. I'm seeing the answers coming. Correct answer here is option C, right? Which was 1832. And why so? So that Greek could be recognized as an independent nation. Very good. 1 mark for getting the answer correctly. Moving on to the next one. Who among the following wrote the famous hymn Vande Mataram? Mahatma Gandhi, Bankim Chandra, Subhash Chandra Bose or Jawaharlal Nehru? This is a very easy one. 1 mark question. Jaldi, jaldi. Chat is going to go really fast, right? Yes, very good everybody, very good. Correct answer here is option B, right? He was the one, Bankim Chandra was the one who came up with the famous hymn, which was Vande Mataram, right? And the image of Bharat Mata was also created, yes? Moving on to the next one, which is statement 1 and statement 2, right? Statement 1 says that colonization was one of the driving factors that resulted in advancement of technology. Statement 2 says that transportation improved, railways became faster, ships became bigger for increased trade, and the steam engine was invented. Now, pick the relevant option. Now, this right here is a modification of identifying whether what is true or false, but we also have, we see that there is some relation to how assertion reason would also be there. Now, read the statements thoroughly, right? Now, a lot of you are saying that, see, because 1 and 2, 3 and 4 are, it's like I said, it's a mix of assertion reason as well, right? Okay, many of you are confused between A and B. But the thing is, correct answer here is option A. If you get this, you will get 1 mark, right? Because you know, colonization was one of the driving factors which resulted in technology. Statement is true, and the second statement is also true, right? Which means that option C and D are eliminated. But how exactly are we saying this? When we say advanced technology and we talk about transport, we talk about railways, right? And when we talk about ships getting bigger, now I can talk about it a little bit in terms of understanding how, you know, I'll give you a little bit in the aspect of geography, right? You know, we have advanced railways, we have advanced advanced railways that are there. Now, railways that was introduced was earlier by the colonists itself, right? And why did they do that? Because they needed to transport a lot of these things, right? Which is why in this case, both the statements are true, but they're not independent sentences. It's actually the reason, right? Statement 1 is the reason for statement 2, or you can say statement 2 is the reason for statement 1, right? Okay, are we clear? Yes, assertion reason, I will tell you the trick, right? I will tell you the trick, don't worry about it. Moving on to the next one. During the age of industrialization in India, Indian manufacturers used dash to sell goods, right? So what is the answer? They used democracy, did they use socialism, did they use nationalism, or did they use capitalism? Now, this right here should be a very easy question. I'll be back in 1 moment. Very good, everyone. Very good. I can see most of you here have got the answers, right? For those of you who are still saying, ma'am, link is not opening, it is there, right? It is there in the Telegram channel. I have shared it with you. Correct answer here is option C. You will get 1 mark if you write this, right? They use the ideology of nationalism to sell the goods that were made in India. Moving on. What led to Tilak's imprisonment in 1908? Writing about Punjabi revolutionaries in Kesari, writing about Russian revolutionaries in Kesari, writing about Punjabi revolutionaries in Kalinga, or writing about Russian revolutionaries in Kalinga. Now this is super easy, right? You know that Tilak had an editorial, right? So if you know the name of his editorial and you know what he wrote about, answer becomes easy. Now, most of you have identified, of course, it is not Kalinga, it's Kesari. Yes? Now, in this case, as we know, he wrote about the Punjabi revolutionaries, right? He wrote about them, which is why the correct answer here is option A. See, the details on Balkan empires and all of that, you will have to ask Ankita ma'am or watch her session. But of course, don't worry. So this right here is of course from print culture, right? So this is there in print culture. I remember Ankita ma'am talking to you about it. So it will be there in print culture. And we also know about this from nationalism in India as well, right? So this is there in both the chapters. Moving on. Water has a huge potential to be a reliable energy source. Hydrogen extracted from water can be used as a source of energy. Which term best explains usage of water? Now see, this is where my expertise, I would say, comes into the picture, where we are talking about water having potential. Now see what example they have given you, right? They have said hydrogen can be extracted, right? If hydrogen can be extracted, we know that that can be a good energy source. But do we have the technology for it? No, right? We don't have the technology. I know some of you will still come and say, ma'am, deleted syllabus. But see, in your exam, if you get a question from deleted syllabus, will you go tell CBSE, hey, this was deleted, I'll not give the answer to this? Absolutely not, right? You will still have to attempt, and this part I told you, you can quickly read through it. It's not very hard. Which is why in this case, it is a stock resource. And how is it different from potential resource? We know that potential resource that is there has the potential, right? But we see that we're not quite using it to that. Which is why correct answer here is option B, stock. Okay. Yes. Now moving on. Identify soil type. Okay. Identify soil type. Now map is given to you. Okay. Map is given to you and identify the regions. Can you tell me which are the regions which are marked? You have black soil, arid soil, alluvial soil, or red and yellow soil. Which are the regions that are marked? Identify. Northern plains are marked, right? So we see that the northern plains are highlighted here, and east coast, eastern coastal region. That means that if this is the case, we know that it is alluvial soil, right? This represents the best description, right? Or this shows the best distribution of alluvial soil. Very good. You get alluvial soil, you will get 1 mark, right? Now everybody, I hope you have a track of how much you have got correctly and how many you made a mistake on, because at the end of it, out of 20, I'll be asking you how much you scored, okay? So far after 7 questions, I hope you have kept a track of it as well. Moving on to the next one. Which mode of transportation reduces transshipment losses and delays? Waterways, pipeline, roadways, or railways? We have discussed this. So for those of you who have attended my marathon classes and you have been very regular to what we do in the channel, I am telling you this paper should be cakewalk for all of you, right? And if you've not seen the paper and you're seeing the question for the first time, I am sure you will be able to get the answer, right? Because this particular point is one of the advantages of a certain mode of transport, which is nothing but pipelines. Now, can you tell me what do we use pipelines for? What do we transport with the help of pipelines? Very quickly. Yes, very quickly in the chat. What do we use pipelines for? For the transport of what? Liquid, okay, in the form of slurry, yes, but mainly gases, oil, right? Natural gas, oil, sometimes there are certain solids in the form of slurry. We use it to transport pipeline, or we use pipelines to transport. Now, next up, we have question number 9. Now see, in your CBSE, you will never get an option with just 2 options, right? But this has been maybe from the team's end, only 2 options were given, right? But It's okay. Whatever is there, it's there. No, now let's solve this. In CBSE, you will always have C and D also, and I will give you C and D maybe, right? So I am Raju. I own a small plot of land, and my family and I do all the labor. Whatever is produced is used to feed my family. What type of agriculture am I what type of agriculture am I practicing? This wasn't there. Hey, this should be there for sure. This will be there. Yes, I have my laptop with the question paper also. So I'm just going to keep this open as well so that if any of you say, ma'am, this was not there, I would know, right? But of course, very simple. Yes? All right. Very good, everybody. Most of you have got the answer. Correct answer here is nothing but it is option number A. Right? Because we know that when we talk about option A, small plot of land, and when we talk about, it is just done by me and my family, that means this is nothing but it is going to be subsistence farming. Now moving on to the next one. Very simple and easy. Which conventional energy source is generated from running water? They are not telling tides. I feel like I gave you the answer, but okay. They are not saying tides. Running water, right? Energy source generated from running water. What could be the answer for this particular question? Let me just make some space on my table so that I'm able to keep all this properly. What should this be? When you say water, you can use elimination method. Somebody was asking me, ma'am, is it okay? Can I use elimination method? There are multiple places where you can use an elimination method. For instance, in this particular case, when it is water, it's not nuclear energy because you use radioactive elements. It's not thermal energy because for thermal energy, of course, we know that mainly heat is generated. So it's not thermal, right? So lunistic Libra, you can use elimination. Now, tidal and hydel is confusion, right? Hydel means water, absolutely, and hydel is the answer. Hydel energy is also another name for hydroelectric, right? So, mainly we generate or we use this as an energy source. Now, can you tell me what we use for tidal? Very quickly in the chat. What is it that we use for hydel energy? In tidal, what is it that we use? Do we use gas? What do we use? Exactly, movement of the waves, right? So movement, the ebb and flow of the waves will actually cause the turbine, not wind. Somebody is telling me wind but not wind, right? So we know that in this particular case, we use the high tides, the movement of the tides. Yes, oceanic tides. So we are done with 10 questions. Moving on to 11th one. The newly formed government of country X, right, has 7 female ministers as compared to 37 male ministers. Which challenge is country X facing? Challenge in expansion of democracy, the foundational challenge of democracy, challenge in deepening democracy, or is it all of the above? What are they facing? I am seeing some of you are... Yes, ma'am, this is deleted. Oh, okay. My bad. Challenges of it's not there. But it's fine. We'll skip this. I'm going to give 1 mark for all of you, right? I'll give 1 mark for all of you. It's something we did not check, right? But it's okay, right? It's fine. Answer is option A. Everybody gets this 1 mark. If at all that happens, I told you, no? If at all you get it, still attempt the answer. All of you get 1 mark. Yes, that's what we're going to do. Count 1 mark for yourself, okay? Now moving on to the next one. When we speak of gender divisions, we primarily refer to what? Biological differences between men and women, unequal roles which are assigned to society, unequal roles assigned by society to men and women, unequal child-sex ratio, or absence of voting rights for women in democracy. When we talk about gender division, see, this is very simple, right? Now, when we're talking about gender division, we're talking in terms of societal, right? So, if it is societal, are we talking about biological differences? Absolutely not. Whoever is telling me A, C. Whenever we talk about gender division, it is societal based, right? So, at this point, when we say it is, we do know that there are 2 categories. But in this case, it's mainly due to the unequal roles that are assigned by society to men and women, right? That men have a certain role to play and the women have a certain role to play, right? So that is what we mean by this. And if you get this, 1 mark you would have got. Moving on. People struggle against the privatization of water supply in dash reminds us that popular struggles are integral to the working of a democracy. So dash is where? Nepal, Bolivia, Mexico or India? What is the answer? We're talking about privatization of water supply. Okay. But in this case, if that is the case, you know the answer is Bolivia. You will all get 1 mark. Count it, take it, have 1 mark added to it. Now let's move on, right? Let's move on to the next one. Okay, thank you for telling me that, but 1 mark in your pocket, right? Simple as that. All right. Moving on to the next one, that is assertion reason. Yes, everybody was asking, see? Assertion reason, everybody. Assertion A and reason, okay? So in this case, different tiers of government govern the citizens belonging to different states, districts and taluks. Each tier has its own jurisdiction in specific matters of legislation, taxation and administration, right? So what is the answer here? See, as you all know, I am your expert. I would have my expertise in geography and economics, but this is what you will have to give me the answer to, right? When you were telling me A, D, I see a lot of mixture of answers here, right? Now see, for assertion reason, I'll always tell you, right? Now, one thing with assertion reason that is there, so let me just have a look, right? So when we talk about assertion and reason, first and foremost, try to identify if the statement here is true or false, right? Now, if the statement here is true, right? If one is true, identify if the statement here is true or false. If it is not true or if this is false, that is step number 1 that you have to do, right? If that is the case, if this is the case, then you have to go ahead and move, right? Now, in this case, we see that the correct answer here is option D, where assertion statement is false and reason is true. Yes? So that is how you have to look at it as statement. Now, one thing in general I will tell you, okay? This is going to be a general tip for assertion and reason, right? This is a general tip for assertion and reason, and I told you this for science, use it for social sciences also. Tip number 1 is look at it as 2 statements, right? So look at it as 2 statements. One is statement number 1 and the other one is statement number 2. Yes, look at it as 2 statements. Now, as I told you in this particular case, first identify if they are true or false. That is step number 1, right? While on the other hand, when you have a look at it, imagine if one is false, other is true, your first 2 options will get deleted, right? Now imagine if both are true. Now if both are true, go to the next step, right? Go to the next step wherein you need to identify if it is a correct explanation or no, right? If that is the case, what will you do? After the assertion statement, put a Y, right? Put a Y after this. So in this particular case, as you all know, if this is the case and your reason explains or your reason justifies it, then you know that it will be option A, wherein both A and R are true and R is the correct explanation. If R does not justify your why question or your how question, then we know that this is the correct answer. Yes? Now, everybody who are having doubts on this particular question, let me know in the comments below where Ankita ma'am will take your questions on this, right? So, everybody, this is a screenshot for all of you to know about assertion reason. But if you have further doubts on this particular question, let me know in the comments of this video so that Ankita ma'am can take your doubts. Like I told you, right? I will mainly be able to help you out with your economics and geography. But of course, at the end of the day, Ankita ma'am is the expert for history and politics. Science, so she'll be there. And of course, Ankita ma'am was not able to make it today. Ankita ma'am is, Ankita ma'am has been trying to nurse herself back to good health, right? So that's why. Yes. Moving on to column number 15, okay? Now we have 2 categories that are there, right? There are 2 categories, yes? If you have doubt in the question, let me know in the video. Now, of course, we have promote interests of a particular group, movements, struggles launched for the resolution of a social problem, sectional interest groups, seek to promote a common interest, right? So you have movements, sectional interest groups and public interest groups. Now, if this is there, a lot of you are saying, see, now in political science and all, when you tell me this, I will not know much, right? But if that is the case, you can go ahead. It's very simple actually. Even if it is not there, you try, it's okay. You give it a try. I know, but give it a try. What is there? I am telling you one more thing. which I noticed. So I was actually going through some of the sample papers which are given, right? There are sample papers which are given by a lot of publications and all of that. And I did see one or two questions which have come there that's come from the deleted syllabus, okay? Now, if this is the case, if it comes from the deleted syllabus also, let me tell you one thing. You cannot go there and tell CBSE, ma'am, no way. It's not going to happen, right? Or ma'am, आपने तो बताया नहीं, ये तो deleted था, but now question has come. Don't panic, okay? First and foremost, chances of that happening are very less. But if at all it is there, no, make sure that you go ahead and you still attempt, right? So in this case, we see that the correct answer here is option number B. Don't cry, okay? Please don't cry. It's okay. If it comes, go ahead and attempt. Because when you talk about, in this case, right, when you talk about interests of a particular group, it is with respect to a certain section, right, which is why A is marked to 2. Now, in this case, we know that struggles launched for the resolution of a larger social program, right, huge social program, that in this case is going to be 1. Now, seek to promote a common interest, that's a public interest, yes? That's why I'm telling, keep trying. All of you will tell me, ma'am, this is deleted, I'm not going to do. That's not the case. Ideally, they will not give you from deleted syllabus. If it comes, there are two ways, right? First and foremost, that marks should ideally be given as a bonus mark, right? They should ideally give it, but you will only get it if you attempt it, okay? That is there. Only if you attempt, you will get that bonus. If you don't attempt and you leave it as it is, then they will consider, they may still give you bonus marks, but like I said, chances of it happening are very less. So don't take tension. Please don't take tension. Yes, okay. Now moving on, gross domestic product. This is something of what I can help you out, right? So which of the following gives correct explanation of gross domestic product? So you have 4 options. Now read the options properly. Yes, we are talking about what contributes to GDP. Where will you get the PDF? You will get it on the Telegram channel, okay? Where are we going to get this particular question? I mean, what gives us the correct explanation of GDP? Now, I can see 2 things. You have confusion between A and C, right? It's going to be between A and C. But in this case, whoever have told me correct answer is C, very good, 1 mark. Now, why for those of you who marked A, ma'am, why not A? Because technically, GDP is nothing but the value of final goods which are added up for all 3 sectors for one particular year. But yes, Divyanshi, very good. It's not just goods, right? When you talk about goods, that comes under your primary sector, your secondary sector. What about your tertiary sector, which is your services, right? Which is why the correct definition here is option C. That is the value of final goods and services which are added for 3 sectors is what we call as GDP. Yes? Oh, Ritvik. Okay, thank you. I will remember that. Moving on. Which among the following is an example of the dependency of primary sector on the tertiary sector? Okay, very interesting question. Weavers made less money because the shops did not want to sell handloom products. Okay, the bank employees could not reach on time due to transport strike. Okay, dairy and poultry producers suffered losses when the shops went on strike. And of course, farmers suffered a loss when there was insufficient water to grow cotton. Dependency of primary sector, right? Now, in this case, what is happening? Again, confusion between A and C, which means we know it is not B and D, right? Now, we are talking about dependency of primary sector on the secondary sector. But in this, on the tertiary sector, right? Now, here if you see, handloom products did not want to sell handloom products, right? But at the end of the day, they made less money. Now, weavers, are they primary sector? Weaver is primary sector, yes or no? Is weaver a primary sector? Yes or no? Weaving of cotton. Very good, Ritvik. Weaving is secondary sector, which is why it is not A, and the correct answer is option C, right? Because we know that dairy and poultry producers, that is primary sector, production, right? And they suffered loss when the shops went on strike because they could not sell it. So everybody first and foremost try to identify the sectors and then go ahead. Now the option D also cannot be the answer because see, farmers suffered loss when there was insufficient water. Insufficiency in water has nothing to do with tertiary sector. Yes, which is why in this case the correct answer here is option C. Now, Syed, like you were saying, ma'am, shouldn't D also be there because there's insufficient water? Water is provided by irrigation. But they have not gone in detail telling that from tertiary sector, right? They have not said farmers suffered loss when there was insufficient water provided by something something. If they said provided by something something, it could have been that. But in this case, what did they say? They said insufficient water. That could be due to rainfall also, right? Which is why in this case the correct answer here is option C. Why not B? Bank employees could not reach on time. Bank here is a tertiary service sector. Where is the primary sector coming into the picture? Nowhere, right? So it is not. Bank is a tertiary sector. Transport is also a tertiary sector. We are talking about dependency between tertiary sectors. Yes, which is why in this case we see that the correct answer here is option C. Okay. Moving on to the next one. Which among the following is a characteristic of the unorganized sector? Okay. Work units are registered with the government and they follow rules and regulations. It includes small and scattered units of work which remain largely outside the control of the government. The terms of employment are regular and therefore people have assured work and employment benefits. Examples of people working in this sector are government and bank employees. Difference between, see, we have spoken about this in organized versus unorganized sector, right? Organized versus unorganized. So what would be the answer? Yes, very good. Now option A, C and D are all characteristics of organized sector. But option number B, when we talk about small scattered units which remain largely outside the control of government, there we are talking about the unorganized sector, right? So correct answer here is option B and you get 1 mark for this. Which of the following global organization operates a global system of trade rules and acts as a forum for negotiating trade agreements? Is it FAO, WHO, WTO, IMF? Easy peasy. Everybody should be getting this 1 mark, right? What is the answer to this? Exactly. Correct answer is WTO, right? What is WTO? Full form. Expansion. I need the answer. What is the expansion of WTO? It is not WHO. WHO is World Health Organization. What is the expansion of WTO? World Trade Organization. And we are talking about global system of trade rules and negotiating trade agreements. Yes? Correct answer is this. You will get 1 mark. Moving on to the last question in question number 20, right? Last particular question from section A. Identify the correct statements about demand deposit, okay? Demand deposits are considered to be money in the modern economy because of what and what? There is more demand for them. Money through demand deposit is available on demand. Bank demands such deposits. They are widely accepted as means of transaction. What is the correct answer here? You need to identify which is the correct answer. Lot of confusion between B and C. Okay, that means many of you are convinced that it is not A and it is not D. But in this case, the correct answer is option B, because we know that in a demand deposit system, money can be demanded, right? Or money can be available on demand. But we also know that it's one of the widely accepted means of transaction as well, right? We know that demand deposits, of course, over time with the help of check facility and everything, we see that we are able to get that and directly have transactions, which is why in this case, the correct answer here is option B, right? So in this case, of course, you get 1 mark here. So everybody in the meanwhile, right, can you all quickly tell me, yes? Can you all quickly tell me how much did you get out of 20 marks? How much did you score? In the chat, very quickly. This is from Money and Credit chapter. 20 out of 20, 18, 19. Very good, very good. 17 out of 20, 16 out of 20, 12. See, I told you for some which was out of syllabus and all, you can get bonus marks, right? It's okay. Right, ma'am? Rat hole mining is important. It is, but mainly rat hole mining will come with respect to hazards of mining. So you can learn it in that way, right? See, anything which is 15 above is very good, okay? If you have got 18, 19, because your MCQs in social sciences are scoring, right? So try to make sure that 19 out of 20, 20 out of 20. So 15 and above is good marks, right? It is good marks. Don't take stress, right? So don't worry about it. Floriculture is basically, Poonam, large scale manufacture of flowers, right? So like for example, marigold, and you know there's a lot of flowers which are high on demand, jasmine and all of that. That's what we call as floriculture, right? Okay. Now let's move on to the next set of questions. Okay. Moving on, we are going to section number B, where we normally have very short answer questions that are there, right? So 2-mark questions. So now, of course, what are accordion books? Yes, what are accordion books? Game of trading, it's okay, please. It's fine. You can just tell me what it is, right? For those of you who are not know. 3-tier structure and everything, let me know in the comments of this video, right? Ankita ma'am will be handling, or she will be talking about it. This is very easy, right? So as we all know, in this case, they are basically traditional Chinese books, right? And we see that they had very thin and porous papers, which had paper only to be printed. So only on one side it could be printed. And we know that the paper was folded, the sides were, so basically the sides were stitched, and we call them as accordion papers, right? So this right here is what we call as accordion books. So if you write 2 points on this, you will get 2 marks. Now moving on to the next one. To differentiate between subsistence farming and commercial farming. It's very easy, right? Okay. Yes, print culture. Accordion books isn't, see, anything related to books is your print culture. What is peach, Nandita? Peach is a type of coal which is formed on the initial days, which has high, you know, moisture content in it, very low carbon content with respect to maybe your lignite and everything, right? Yes, very good. So now this is also going to be 2 marks, right? 2-mark question. And very simple. Yes, very good everybody, very good. We're talking about subsistence farming and commercial farming, and we know that in subsistence farming, it is practiced on a small plot of land and it is for self-consumption, right? And we know that normally we have household labor and the family does it, small group of people, right? While on the other hand, in commercial farming, it is in a large plot of land, it is large scale manufacture for selling it in the market, and we know that laborers and tools and machines are also used, right? So in this particular question, as you all know, you can make a box like this and you can do a compare contrast, but you will have to write 2 points, right? So if you write 2 points, you will get 2 marks for this, right? So if in this particular question, 2 marks if you write in this fashion. Yes, can we write in table? Absolutely. Yes, ma'am, seaport ke names aayenge, maybe in your MCQ you can get Samra, so please study this. Agglomeration economies are basically, you know, economies which come together for multiple markets, where there are multiple markets and services which are provided. So in an urban area, we know that it's not just a market for one thing, but it serves as a market for many different things, right? Which is why in this case which is why agglomeration, which is what we call as agglomeration economies. Should we write in points or should we write in table? I would recommend that for difference question, write in table, or you can write it in this manner also. Yes? Ma'am, what is the difference? See, what other doubts are there? I know so many doubts are coming in between. I'll try to take as much as possible. Now, this is a OR question that is there, which is what is the golden quadrilateral for 2 marks? So, jaldi, can you tell me what is the golden quadrilateral? I will take the, can I do one thing? As you all give me the answer in the meanwhile, all geography and economics related doubts, can I take it towards the end of the class so that there might be some students who might want to leave? They can leave the live class and towards the end we will do a doubt board. Okay? Shall we do that? Very good. 6-lane super highway. Yes, very good. So you can write about 6-lane super highway. You know that it connects the 4 metro cities. It is maintained by the NHAI. You can write all of these points. So it was a roadway project. It has 6 lanes, connects the major metropolitan cities like Delhi, Kolkata, Chennai, Mumbai, and of course maintained by the National Highway Authority of India. You can also write about the North-South corridor and the East-West corridor as well, but it's for 2 marks. So you need to make sure you write 2 points out of this. You will get 2 marks. Yes? Very simple and easy. Moving on to the next one. Take any 3 steps taken by the government towards decentralization in the year 1992. Decentralization. They're saying 3 steps, which means that you will get 2 marks for the whole thing, right? So what would you all write about for this particular question? I need all of you to tell the answers. Removing, okay, very good. Yes, I will share this PDF. Do not worry about it at all. And in the meanwhile, if you all need the PDF, then I need you all to hit the like button on this video. We should have at least 500 likes. Yes? Ma'am, will the board paper be tough? Arivu Selvi, don't worry about it. Let's hope that our preparation is good enough that our board paper is not tough, right? So making sure that they hold regular elections, yes. Making sure that, there is reservation of seats, right? And at least 1/3 of the seats must be reserved for women, right? Making sure creation of independent institution should be there. And state governments must share some powers and revenue with local government. Now you need to write any 3 points that are there, right? Because they've asked you for 3 steps, yes? So as we all know, if you write any 2 out of this, you will get 2 marks, right? Very simple and easy. Write 2 of it, okay? Now moving on to the next one, right? Distinguish between foreign trade and foreign investments, yes? 2-mark question, foreign trade and foreign investments. I know most of you get confused for this particular question as well, right? Okay, what is foreign trade? See, like I said, for those of you asking me if SST paper is going to be tough, SST paper will only be tough if you don't prepare well. If you prepare well, SST paper is easy. Trade by MNC, okay. Is it trade only by MNC? Trade between 2 countries, very good. Exactly, yes. So as we all know, right, when we talk about foreign trade, trade is what? It is exchange of goods and services, right? So it is the exchange of goods and services between different nations that are there. So if you talk about trade in general, you have domestic trade also. That can happen within the country, right? But when you say foreign trade, it is exchange of both goods and services between different nations that are there. Now it involves the flow of goods and services also between countries that are there, right? And when there is between exchange between goods and countries, it's also good, right? Because there's a lot of export that is happening, and if export happens, it's also good for the economy. Now how is this different from a foreign investment? Now an investment is the money that you are going to invest in it, right? So as we all know, foreign investment means the money which is spent by foreign investments. Yes. Now it means that it is the money spent by foreign firms or individuals, basically your MNCs, in another nation in expectation of getting money in turn. Okay. So think about this in a very easy way. What is foreign trade? Imagine I have one of my friend who is living maybe in the US, right? And he has a company, and of course, or let's assume it is between USA and India, right? Now from US we want something, and here we can provide them with maybe certain services like, technological services, right? So now in this particular case, here we see that there is trading, right? So here we are exporting these services, right? And here we are importing it. So for exporting, of course, we will get some money from US, and when we are importing something from US, we will pay the money. So it is an exchange that is happening. But what about in foreign investment, right? In foreign investment, what do you see? Imagine there is going to be maybe a company coming in from US, right? And they are bringing maybe some $5,000, right? So they are bringing in $5,000. Now in $5,000, they are going to bring the money into India, hoping that they can set up one office or they can set up a manufacturing unit, so that then later they will be able to make the money, right? So here there is flow of capital that is taking place. So are we clear with what is foreign trade and foreign investments? Are we all clear? Yes? Spammers, like I said, please leave the class. Unnecessarily don't disturb students who want to study right now. Okay? Very good, everyone. Very good. 2 points you need to write so that you can get 2 marks here. Yes? Now moving on to the next one, right? So now we will go on to section number C. Now section C, as per this particular paper, is slightly different, right? So here, let me just have a look. I have the paper open with me. These are the 3-mark questions, right? So these are the 3-mark questions that are there. So earlier what we saw was section B, okay? Okay, Parveen's time, please, whatever it is, please talk to your parent, right? Please talk to your parents. Yes, please openly talk to them. Whatever is there, don't be afraid to tell them anything. Please talk to your parents. Yes. Now moving on to question number, let's move on to question number 25. What is meant by Bretton Woods Agreement? I remember. So I remember very clearly, Ankita ma'am teaching you all of this, right? So if I'm not wrong, it should be in making of global world, right? This should be in making of global world. Am I right? See, I'm also guessing. You should also tell me if I'm right. Yes, okay. Easy, ma'am. Yes, thank you. Thank you for telling me that I'm right. That means I've also paid attention in Ankita ma'am's class, right? Now, this is going to be a 3-mark question. So, if you're writing a 3-mark question, then you need to make sure that you elaborate, right? At least write 3 elaborate points on the Bretton Woods Agreement, right? So, what will you write about? We know that post-war, after the war, the economic system that was there, they wanted to maintain the economic stability. Yes, everybody who's forgotten, I'm telling you, right? So they wanted to preserve the economic stability and ensure that there is proper employment in industrial countries, right? Now, as you all know, we know that the United Nations Monetary and Financial Conference was held in July 1944, Bretton Woods, USA, right? And they provided a framework to regulate finances. Exactly. Right? It was held in, there only, right? So now we all know agreements were established by IMF and they were established by the International World Bank, and at the end of the day, they made sure that these setups that were there were made sure to ensure that there is post-war reconstruction. So make sure you write all of these points so that you get 3 marks, right? How much time do we need to invest? See, like I said, right? Section C and your section D, right? Your section C and section D, which has 3 marks and 5 marks answers, will require you to think a little bit and write some time. So at least 1.5 hours, right? Sort of a 3-hour paper. Make sure you spend at least 1 hour to 1.5 hours in this particular part because you'll have to write all the pointers. Now the other one is an OR question, right? How did the First World War help Indian industries? Yes? How did the First World War help Indian industries? I remember this particular question also. I remember Ankita ma'am explaining this to all of you. Yes, I also listened to her class. I know history is a very, it's a very taxing subject, right? Exports were declined, Britain was struggling. Oh ma'am, no idea. Trading activities increased. Exactly. So we're talking about how it helped Indian industry. So basically what happened? Very good. British dominance over the market collapsed, right? So when the First World War happened, the Britishers were invested for the war, right? So in this case, what happened? We know that at the end of the day, it created a lot of declining situation where the British mills were busy with the war production, that imports were declined, right? So there were imports declined, which created a vast market for Indian industries, right? Although Indian industries were produced and goods were supplied for war, we also saw that new factories were set up and old ones ran for multiple shifts, which boosted industrial production, right? So you need to write the 3 marks, you need to elaborate it so that you get 3 points. Exactly. Very good. War needs, yes. And you can elaborate on it as well. Bandstick, very good. Jarvis, all of you that are there. Haven't been out on... okay, we'll be doing it. Don't worry about it. Now moving on, yes, 3-mark question on what are energy resources and why do we need them. This is so easy, right? This is such an easy question. All of you should be able to get the answer to this, right? And like I told you, we are halfway through the paper and by 6:30, my promise to you was 1.5 hours. By 6:30, we are going to be done discussing this as well. Yes? Those provide energy. Okay. What are energy resources? Wind, water. Why do we need them? Everybody's telling me, ma'am, solar energy, air, petroleum, fossil fuel, they are also there. No, they're asking in general, right? What are energy resources? Resources from which we get energy are called as energy resources. Why do we need them? We require energy because a lot of it, right, especially in our life, energy resources play an insignificant role because a lot of industries are dependent on this energy to function, right? So you'll have to write that point down. For example, whether it's the agricultural industry, the medical industry, the equipments that are there are dependent on energy to function, right? Which is why we require energy resources. Yes? So as we all know, not just for industries, even to do day day-to-day activities. We as human beings require energy, right? And it's become a basic necessity. And we can talk about how there are two kinds of there are two kinds of energy sources, where you have your conventional as well as your non-conventional. And for the overall development, you require it. Yes? Now, everybody, are you all able to hear me? Is my audio clear? Are you all able to see me clearly? We are not facing any technical difficulties, right? And everybody, like I told you, whatever doubts are coming with respect to maybe geography or economics, I will do a doubt board towards the end, because I don't want to disrupt the flow of the class. So I will take all the doubts towards the very end, so that the others who are clear can leave the class. And of course, you know, the others can remain and you can get your doubts clarified. Okay? Yes, conventional are basically all of your fossil fuels, which are conventional energy resources, while your non-conventional energy resources are those like your wind, water that are there. Moving on to the next one. Why is there an increase in the usage of non-conventional energy sources today? Can you tell me? Why is it that there is an increase in the usage of non-conventional energy sources? Now, this right here is very important. Now, this right here is a 3-mark question. We have moved to section C, right? Okay. They are replenishable, they are abundant, but you need to tell why. See, you are telling me advantages, right? But why is it that we went all the way to non-conventional energy sources? You are telling me advantages, but the question is asking why did we move towards that? That is what you need to tell me. Less pollution, sustainable development. Okay, okay. I am looking for a specific point here. Limited, exactly. See, one thing is, oh, yes, Shrishti has given me the answer. I can see after that charcoal, many of you have now given. Exactly, Sayali, very good. See, this particular answer has 2 layers to it, right? The first layer of it, you need to write down what happened to the conventional sources, right? What happened to conventional sources? We know that these are limited and they are exhaustible, right? Which means that you cannot have so much, we cannot be dependent on them for a long period of time. Hence, what do we need to do? We need to switch towards a sustainable mode, right? And what is a more sustainable mode? That is switching into non-conventional energy sources. Yes? So, we need to switch towards that. So your answer should just not be about, see, non-conventional is good for us, which is why we are going to use it. No. Why has there been the increase? Well, if that was the case, we would have started using non-conventional sources way back then, right? But why are we using it now? Because over time, we know that there has been a shift, right? The amount of conventional energy sources are decreasing. So you need to start by saying that conventional energy sources are generally non-renewable and they have been used for a long period of time and they are limited and they can be exhausted. Yes, Syed, very good. Which is why to make sure that we don't put so much pressure on fossil fuels and everything, we need to switch to alternative sources of energy, right? And we know you can give some examples like wind energy, solar energy, tidal energy, so on and so forth. And you can give some advantages like they are eco-friendly, less pollution, so on and so forth. But the initial part of the question has to be there, right? And I'll share the PDF, don't worry. You need to write 3 points. I have elaborated the 3 points, but three brief points on this will be good to go. All right? Moving on to question number 28. All right. So I think social divisions are there. This part should be there, right? Explain the 3 factors that are crucial in deciding the outcome of politics in social divisions. Yes? Okay. Ma'am, history is tough. I know. History requires a lot of active recall. Okay. No, but don't worry about it. It's going to be okay. Literacy rate, 1 out of 3 women. Okay. Others, caste in politics. All right. There are many. Okay. Coffee के बारे में ज़्यादा नहीं दिया है रुद्रा. Okay, I'll tell you towards the end of the class. I'll take more of those doubts towards the end, right? Urbanization, I'm getting a lot of, I'm getting a lot of keywords. Okay, so let's see what the answer is. Now we know that there is first and foremost perception of their identities that are there, right? So we know that if people look at their identities in an exclusive single manner, we know that the process of accommodation becomes tough, right? Then we also know that representation of community by political leaders. We know that if the demands are not detrimental to any other community, then we know that it's easier to accommodate those demands, right? Lawmaking authorities that are there as well, right? Occupational mobility. You can write about all the important pointers that you need to fit. 3 points, you will get 3 marks. Yes? Any further doubts on this particular question? Like I said, please make sure that you all go ahead and you let me know in the comments of the video. Ankita ma'am will take those doubts, okay? Because you know, Ankita ma'am is your political science expert, right? Now moving on to question number 29. Yes, question number 29. How do demand deposits share essential features of money? मैम विंड एनर्जी तो भी नॉन कन्वेंशनल है, आपने कन्वेंशनल बताया, नहीं नहीं वो नॉन कन्वेंशनल है. आई थिंक आई वुड हैव सेड इट बाय मिस्टेक, राइट? आई वुड हैव सेड इट बाय मिस्टेक, सो प्लीज डोंट, I didn't mean it intentionally. Okay, ma'am, from where chapter 28 came from? Chapter 28 in which chapter? I'm very worried about that. Question number 28, Ankita ma'am will again take it again, so don't worry about it, right? So in the meanwhile, whatever you did not understand, let me know in the comments of this video so that Ankita ma'am can take your doubts. What are demand deposits? Demand deposits are basically a certain facility where on demand you will be able to withdraw money, right? Or you will be able to recall the deposit of money that is there. That is what we mean by this, right? It's a one mode of demand deposit is check that is there, right? So we know that demand, right? Demand deposits are basically the funds. So you know that if you're a salaried employee and if I get salary every month, there will be a proportion of money that is going to go into the bank, right? So we know that I can withdraw that money at any time without giving any prior notice. I can go to the bank at any time and say, hey, you know what? I want 1,000 rupees, right? So I want 1,000 rupees and you have to give it to me. Bank will give it to me. Yes. Now we know that facilities of checks and now you have electronic transfer, which makes the whole concept and the idea of demand deposit very easily, where I am able to settle payments, right? I will be able to settle payments without having any difficulties. And we know that since demand deposits are widely accepted, they can be, or it's a form, right? We see that they constitute money in it. Because if I have to transfer money to you, and imagine if I have to transport money to Manoj Priyan, right? What will I do? I will just have to send the money. It will directly go to him. With the help of a check, I can directly go and I can put the check in his bank. He will get the money, right? So in one way, they constitute money in modern economy, right? So I hope you are all clear, right? 3 points on this. You have to talk about check facility, very, very important, and you will get 3 marks. So far, so good, everyone. Ma'am, can we say 15% is kept in the bank? You can, but it's not relevant, right? It's not very relevant, so it will not make much of a difference. Yes? Okay. Are we good? So font is a little smaller. I'm very sorry about that. I may not be able to increase it now, but Telegram pay, when you get it, you will be able to see it properly. Okay, ma'am, can you explain second point in English? So basically, if I have a check, right? Imagine I have a check with me and I go and I deposit that check and say that, okay, to Manoj Priyan, I am going to give 1,000 rupees. I deposit that check. That means that once the check is processed, 1,000 rupees will directly go to Manoj Priyan. Yes. So that means what would happen? In this case, we see that they constitute money, right? And the idea and the facility of having checks and electronic transfer makes it very simple, right? So that is the correct answer. Moving on to section D. Now see, section D that is there should ideally be your 5 markers, but in this particular mock paper, it became your case based, right? But you know that in your exam, it is going to be section E, right? Section E is your source based or your case based. But this right here is going to be this. So now everybody have a look at this particular paragraph. Take a minute to read it and then we are going to do the questions, right? And in the meanwhile, I hope all of you have liked this video. Yes? Take a minute. I gave you time to talk about, not to talk about other things. Praveen, like your friends are saying, I will also tell you, see, talk to your parents first. Don't be scared. Please talk to your parents, and like your friends are suggesting, please tell them. They'll be the best to help you out. Okay? Don't take tension. Nobody is going to do anything when your parents are there by your side. Yes? Now others, are you all reading this or have you all gone asleep? I moved out of the frame not because, yes, I know, Yuvraj, I know. But that's what I'm saying. In these cases, whatever anybody says does not mean that you don't tell your parents. If I was in your position, I would tell my parents everything, right? So please talk to your parents. They are the adults here. Please, 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 everybody is here with you. But your parents need to know everything. Nothing without telling your parents, okay? All right, very good. So don't worry, Praveen. Don't worry at all. Very good, ma'am. Read the whole thing. Yes, exactly. Now, as long as all of you are done, right? I hope all of you have read the paragraph, okay? Now, see, I moved out of the frame so that you read peacefully. And in your exam also, like Ankita ma'am said yesterday, start with reading this. Yes? I'll take your doubt, Rudra. Like I said, all doubts which are not related to question paper, I am going to take it towards the end. Now, how did European markets profit from African labor? What is the answer to the first one? How did they profit? Influx is when they enter. There's an influx of money. That means money has come in. That is what we mean by influx, right? So first one is spread of smallpox, right? Okay. But here they are asking you. The first one they're asking, how did European markets make profit out of this? So in this case, we know that in the first case, the slaves were encaptured, right? So if I were to have a look at the solution. Yes, all right. So we are in. So we know that in this case, the slaves that were captured in the African market, right? So we know that the African continent started to grow cotton and sugar, thereby which brought in more revenue to the European markets, right? Now the second part of the question is asking us, why did America witness an influx of people fleeing from Europe? Yes, they witnessed this because, of course, Europe had poverty, hunger, diseases, religious persecution, right? And we know that therefore thousands of people started to leave Europe and they started to go to America for a better life, right? Now we see that the third part of the question is, explain how global transfer of diseases in pre-modern world helped in the colonization of Americans. Now we know that Europeans brought many disease-carrying germs like smallpox to North America, which was very, of course, deadly for the indigenous people, right? So influx means they came in, right? Influx means it entered, it came in, right? So now we know that as a result, the natives, due to isolation, had no immunity. So since smallpox was never there before and suddenly it has come, they have absolutely no, immunity against it. And once introduced, it started affecting a lot of people, right? And this way it, of course, had a big impact as well. Crux means it's at a point, right? At the crux of it. It's at a point or a junction of it. That is what we mean by this, right? Ma'am, will the answers, see, in most cases, answer is there in the paragraph as well, right? Social exam may write in points. Okay. Now the next one is a pretty simple one. Read the paragraph first, right? Everybody read the paragraph. Now I'll give you a context of it a little bit, right? Okay. Yes, okay. See, my explanation of history is not very great. Ankita ma'am is the expert, right? For 10th grade as well. So everybody, if you have any doubts on history, please go watch Ankita ma'am's session. Yes? Okay. Very good. See, final paper, as you all know, sample question paper is so very, very important, right? 14th ko Mahamenti is there. How to prepare geography, figure out all the important topics that you know that you don't know, right? Whatever you don't know in geography, please go and first identify that and I'll help you out. Ankita ma'am will come back. See, whatever doubts you have today, whatever you are not understanding today, go back and please make sure that you make a note of it. And on Monday, when we take the class on 100 PYQs for subjective questions, Ankita ma'am is going to help you out with all of it, right? It's going to be there, so don't worry. And mnemonics and geography definitely help you. See, I'll of course always help you with geography and economics and you have nothing to worry about. So basically in this particular one, we talk about how boys and girls are brought up to believe that the main responsibility of women is housework and bringing up children, right? This reflected in sexual division of labor in most families. Women do all the work inside the home, such as cooking, cleaning, washing clothes, tailoring, looking after children, and men do all the work outside home, right? Now they're talking about in that aspect where the first question is, how is labor divided on the basis of sex and family, or based on gender? So we know that women do all the work inside the home, right? And we know that cooking, cleaning, washing, all of that, while men do the work outside. So this right here is for 1 mark. What is the position of women in our country? So here again from the thing we understand that our country is sadly a still patriarchal country. Of course, over time the discrimination or the shift is taking place. But we know that women still face discrimination and oppression every day, right? And we all know, right, at the end of the day, with what beliefs does boys and girls are brought up? How are boys and girls brought up? So as we all know that boys and girls are brought up with the main responsibility that women have to do housework, right? And we know that while men, they have to do all the other duties where you provide for the family, right? And they are believed that, or they've been brought up with a notion that maybe women have to do all the, like they have no house, like men don't have any responsibility in household work, and everything that is there is a responsibility of the women, right? So this is how you go about it. And if you write this, you will get 2 marks here, 1 mark here. So are we all clear with this? Are we all clear? Yes, all of you will write well in your exam. You have nothing to worry about. Yes? Easy peasy question. Most of the answer is actually there in the paragraph as well. Moving on to the next one. This I will help you fully, right? This is very easy. With the HDI value of 0.633, India ranked 132 out of 199 countries in 2021 Human Development Index, according to the report released by the United Nations Development Programme. The human development is a measure of nations' health, education, and average income. It has declined over the 2 years in a row. The falling life expectancy, as mentioned, was one of the major reasons for the drop. The HDI measured progress in 3 key dimensions: a long, healthy life, access to education, and decent standard of living, and calculated using 4 indicators, that is life expectancy at birth, mean years of schooling, expected years of schooling, and gross national income per capita. First question, who publishes Human Development Report? Answer is there in the paragraph. It is UNDP, right? You have to write the full form, which is United Nations Development Programme. Yes? Moving on. As per UNDP, what are the 3 dimensions to measure Human Development Index? Yes, what are the 3 measures? It is there in the question itself, right? They have already mentioned that the HDI progress on 3 key dimensions, which is a long, healthy life, access to education, and a decent standard of living. So you have these 3 points that was already given to you in the question. What are the 4 indicators which are used to calculate? That is also given to you in the question, right? So it is calculated using 4 indicators: life expectancy at birth, mean years of schooling, expected years of schooling, and GNI. That is there. Last but not the least, what are the reasons of India's declining HDI? What was it? What was the reason for India's declining HDI? Tanishka, most often than not, answer is always there in the passage, because CBSE knows that children don't read the passage. They know that children will skim through the passage and they will get confused and they will not go ahead with it. Which is why yesterday when we told you start reading from section E at all time, it becomes very simple and easy, right? Now in this case, we know that the falling life expectancy was one among the major reasons for the drop in, you know, the HDI index that was there, right? So in this case, if you write all of this, you will get your marks. Moving on to ideally what should have been the 5-mark section that was there, which should have been section D. So what we did was section E, and what we're about to do is section D. Yes, ideally in your paper, right? So let's get started, everybody. We have 15 more minutes. Will we wind this up in 15 more minutes? Are we all ready to wind this session up in 15 minutes? Gross national gross national income, basically your PCI that is there, right? Okay, yes, Yes, Josh is very high, so we are going to wind this up starting with the first one. This is their nationalism in Europe, right? What steps did the French revolutionaries take to create a sense of collective identity amongst French people? Everybody, 5 marks, which means you will have to write 5 points. Yes? Very good. Le patrie, le citoyen. Very good. Easy peasy. I know, right? Tricolor flag. Wonderful. I am seeing answers. If Ankita ma'am was here, she would be so proud. No, she'll be so proud. Idea of nationalism, a more collective belonging that was there. The fatherland. All of you got the answers. So 5 points. Starting with the ideas of les patries, that is the fatherland, les citoyens, the citizens were introduced, which influenced them to giving rights under a constitution, right? French tricolor was chosen as a new flag instead of the former flag that was there. Citizens were allowed to elect members to the Estate General. A central administrative was put into the picture. French became a common language that was there. A uniform system of weights and measurements was introduced. So out of this, write 5 points, you will get 5 marks, right? Very good. Yes, Arjun. Ma'am, first I read question, then read the paragraph. Don't do that, Arjun. Do it the other way around. Okay? Read paragraph and then question. Yes? Moving on to the other one, which is elaborate about the non-cooperation movement. How many of you will be very happy if you get this question? How many of you are going to be so happy if in the board exam you got a question which says elaborate on non-cooperation movement? Very happy, no everybody? Ma'am, if I get all this direct questions, I'll be so happy. Most of you are saying, ma'am, I got this in my pre-board as well. That is amazing, right? Yes, Gandhiji decided not to cooperate. Yes, very good, very good. Exactly. Yes, very good everyone, very good. Somebody say, ma'am, no, I don't want this question in my exam. Everyone will be happy. See, this is very simple. Hind Swaraj, exactly, right? In his book, Hind Swaraj, Gandhi argued that the British rule in India with the cooperation of the Indians, and it survived because of the cooperation that was there, and Gandhi decided to not cooperate, right? He proposed the surrender of titles that the government had awarded, right? There was full disobedience campaign that was there, that was launched. This meant boycotting legislative councils, right? And properly non-cooperation was launched in order to avoid Swaraj, right? So at this point, if some of you are still not sure, see, one thing for sure, you will definitely get questions like this, right? So write 5 points and elaborate on this, right? You can elaborate on this and you will be able to get the marks that is there. And this particular, yes, you can elaborate on it, right? Now, this particular session is not about, ma'am, what is there in syllabus, what is not there, but this is more or less a holistic revision of what you already know, right? Make sure that a lot of you elaborate on it. So this is more like an overall revision of concepts, right? Think of it like this. Question should ideally be direct only. It will not be, see, even if it is not direct, I'll tell you, they'll give you one paragraph and they'll give you a little bit, it'll be a little more direct that way. So don't worry, on the other day, right? On Monday, the kind of questions that we are going to do is going to be a mix of direct, indirect, all of it, right? After your IT exam, when you have more patience, right? When you are ready for social sciences, we will give you everything to make sure that you have end-to-end preparation. So don't worry, right? Now, what is manufacturing and how are manufacturing industries important? 5 marks. Easy, no? What is manufacturing? You only tell me. I'm 100% sure if you've been in my session, you should be able to get the answer to this question. Thank you, Raji. Thank you so much. Manoj, how does it matter? All of you, pay attention. Okay. Exactly. Manufacturing is backbone of national economy. Very long way to say that because you know primary, what is there, right? We know that the primary sector we say is the backbone, right? But what is manufacturing? Production of goods at large quantities or huge quantities where we convert valuable raw materials into more valuable products is what we call as manufacturing. Now, what is the importance of manufacturing? That is what you need to write down. First and foremost, it helps us tackle unemployment, right? Making sure that more people are employed. We see that this, of course, helps in promoting and having more public and joint sector so that more people can be employed. It boosts agricultural productivity because where else will you get your raw materials from, right? And we also know that this these public sectors or manufacturing industries, when they are set up in backward areas or rural areas where there's not a lot of development, it of course makes sure that it brings down regional disparities, right? And we know that export of these goods can also bring in foreign exchange, right? So you need to write 1 mark you will get for writing what is manufacturing. 4 marks will be given to writing about the 4 points which talk about the importance, right? So you need to write all of this to get 5 marks in total. Yes? Are we all clear? Good to go? Okay. Now moving on to the next one, right? So the next question that is there is explain the classification of forests as per Government of India. So here, this question, chances of it coming are very less. But basically, what should you talk about, right? So as we all know, right, when we talk about forests, we know that there is reserve forests, right? Then we know that there is protected forests. Then we know that we have permanent forests. And we also have unclassed, right? So here you need to write a little bit about each of it. You will get 4 marks, and in general talk about what forests are. You will get 1 mark for that, right? So basically not classed and unclassed, but reserved, protected and unclassed. What is permanent, everybody? Can you tell me what do we mean by permanent forests? Everybody in the chat, how many of you remember what are permanent forests? Okay. Anuj, why? That's all that I have to ask you. Reserved plus protected, exactly, right? So your reserved forest plus protected forest will make up your permanent forests that are there. So what are reserved forests? Of course, I'll explain, right? So we know that ideally there should be 33% of forest cover that is there, right? So we know that there's about 33%, and we know that forests are made up of trees, they're made up of, you know, many other plants, animals, so on and so forth, right? Now in this case, if you see reserved forests, they make up more than half the area which is entirely, you know, controlled by the government, right? Now while you talk about protected forests, they make up about 1/3 where it has already undergone a certain level of degradation, right? And we know that it is protected from further degradation. Yes. Then you have your permanent forest, which is a mix of both your reserved as well as protected. And last but not the least, we have unclassed, which is not covered in the category of reserved and protected. And we see that communities have access in these unclassed, right? Which is why normally in the northeastern states, we see that there's a lot of unclassed forests that are there. Ma'am, example and percentage should be mentioned or only example? So Zainab mentioned the percentage, 1/3 of the cover, or talk about more than half, mention that. If you're able to remember examples, very good, right? Okay. Everybody, please maintain the decorum of the class, requesting you all. Next up, what is federalism? MP is an example of reserved as well as protected. So it also comes under the category of permanent. Ma'am, should we write states to 1 state? Okay. All right. Moving on to the next one, right? What is federalism and how is federalism practiced? Linguistic state. Okay. Sharing of power with more than 1 level. Yes, very good. I need the answer. See, when you give all these answers, no, Ankita ma'am is going to read your answer and she'll also give you marks out of this. And she's going to be very happy. This is super simple. 5 marks, right? So you'll get 1 mark for writing about what is federalism. 4 marks here to elaborate on the pointers, right? So as you all know, in this particular case, federalism is a system of the government where the power that is there is divided between the central authority and the constituent authorities that are there, right? And a federation or when you talk about a federal state of a federation will have 2 levels of government, right? Now, how can it be implemented? Formation of states based on language culture, right? We know that language policy, center-state relations, and when you elaborate on all of this, you will get the marks that was there, right? Talking about non-cooperation movement, if you want to go more about it, everybody check out Ankita ma'am's Maha Marathon session. You will be able to get the answer for that. Now moving on, right, everybody? Can we write about it? Yes, see, you can elaborate on each of it and you will definitely get the marks about it. Now moving on to the next one. It is very difficult to reform politics through legal channels. Validate the statement with suitable arguments. Everybody quickly. Yes, very good everybody, very good. Today there is no mentee, we will have mentee tomorrow, right? So as we all know here, when we talk about it, you will have to write the 4 points. Somebody is asking me, ma'am, I do not understand this question. I will try my best to explain, right? So as we all know, in this case, you can talk about how, how carefully devise legal changes, right? So whenever you are talking about changes in the legislative system or legal changes, it can help in discouraging improper political practices and encourage good ones, right? But legal changes alone is not enough to overcome the challenges of democracy. For example, if you change the rules in cricket, right, you cannot change or improve the quality of the game. It also means that changes in rules should also be implemented with making sure that players, coaches, administrators, all of them are equally responsible. Which is why when you talk about changes in political reforms or when you want to incorporate political reforms, people who are invested in it, right, like political activists, political parties, and people who are responsible, the citizens, everybody should be incorporated in it. Yes, and we know that politicians often have to maintain a status quo, which means that they need to keep things as they are, which means reforms, even though they are raised, it should make sure that it should gather a lot of support in order to become a law, which is why we know that reforms in politics, right? So what is the question asking us? Question is asking us, ma'am, even though we want to have changes in politics, it's not very easy, right? There we see that there's a lot of steps involved. If you want to bring about a certain change, you want to bring about a certain law, it becomes pretty tough, right? Which is why in this case, we see that for the above mentioned reasons, it is not easy, right? So if you have to elaborate on this, you will have to get 5 marks. Yes, moving on to the next one. Yes, next question, last question on question number 5. Per capita income is not an absolute measure of economic development. Do you agree with this statement? Justify your answer. Yes, XYZ, you can answer this as well, right? Okay, per capita income is it's not an absolute measure of economic development. Do you agree? Yes, I absolutely agree. What are the limitations? We know that it hides disparities, right? So, of course, if there is inequality in income, we know that it can have an impact, right? And, of course, we know that this means rich becomes richer, poor becomes poorer. And along with that, we know that it does not indicate proper development. And along with that, you can also mention that it does not really talk about the quality of life. It does not talk about literacy rate. It does not talk about the kind of education, right? So, you can mention those points as well, which will tell you that, in this case, we see that per capita income alone is not enough. Health needs to be there. Education needs to be a factor. Very good. So you can add on these points, right? So this right here is very, very important. Are we all clear? Shivanesh, what is the problem? Can you tell me? Why? Why are you so frustrated? Yes, very good. Now discuss in detail about the 3-tier structure of consumer, consumer dispute. This right here, this or question is not there. So you can exclude this, right? Yes, it's deleted. That's why I moved ahead, right? Ma'am, can we write the activity of 2 countries in the question? Of course you can write that. You can write that particular part. So here you can just consider that there's only one option and that question was on economic development. Yes? So with this everybody, section F, we move on to map work, and here is a homework for all of you to do, right? So on a political map, locate and locate and label Bakranangal Dam, Rajiv Gandhi International Airport, Champaran, Khira district, right? And Digboy, right? Come to Digboy oil field, okay? So everybody tell me, where is what? Where do we find Bakranangal Dam? Where will you do it? Yes, exactly. Where are we going to find Bakranangal Dam? Yes, 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 you can, Ajit. It's going to help you, right? I told you 1.5 hours I am going to go ahead. Yes, below Salal, exactly. Below Salal, you will have to mark it, right? So Salal comes a little bit on top. Below Salal, you will be able to do. So now, of course, I have a map with me, but in that there's only Hirakud, which is marked, right? Champaran is there in UP. So I have it marked. I mean, not technically there, but yeah, you have to mark Champaran, not UP. It's not in UP. Okay. So now as you all know, right? Ha, very good. Digboy is not in Odisha, bacha. It's here, right? Okay. I told you, Digboy, and there's one below that becomes very simple and easy, right? Rajiv Gandhi is in Hyderabad. This will actually come a little more lower, I would say. This Kheda district that is there, right? Bakranangal will not come in Uttarakhand. Everybody who is confused, right? Uttarakhand is Tehri Dam. Exactly. Uttarakhand is Tehri. Very good. Okay. And I'm marking Bakranangal, you can mark it somewhere over here, right? So if this is there, somewhere niche, you can mark it. I would just give me a moment, right? Yes, somewhere here you can mark it. All right? Yes, very good. Hirakud is here. Yes. All right. So everybody with this, of course, ma'am, how to do map tricks. See, one thing with map tricks I will tell you is for each of it, right? As you all know, you need to identify. Now, I'm going to give you some tips and tricks for map, right? Now, during the Maha Marathon session itself, I told you that this is what you have to do. But the thing is, when you are doing maps, right, first and foremost, yes, is to practice, right? Exactly. I know I made a mistake there. Sorry. This I made a mistake, right? Very sorry, my bad. But with maps, that is there, right? I mean, I've not marked that properly. But the main thing with maps, what you need to identify is that you need to figure out some easy ways. Now, normally when I mark it, I actually look for the borders, right? So if I look at the borders and I find a specific place where I know that, okay, this looks like a B or this looks like an S, and then I'm going to mark it and I'm going to put a cross, right? So that is what I normally do, okay? Now, each of us will have our own way in this. Now, for example, if what I normally do is, okay, in this loop, maybe little away from the loop, I'm going to have it here. And I need to mark it, and I need to make sure that, okay, somewhere between this border and this, I will have to mark. If you give a rough location, if you correctly mark it in the rough location, it's not like exact point where you have to mark. You might go either udhar here and there little bit, but it's okay. If you get the rough area correctly, it's fine. But does not mean that if they ask you for Hirakud and you put mark it somewhere in Karnataka and you say, this is Hirakud Dam, then you will not get marks. But roughly in that area, if you get it, you will be able to get it, right? So borders is the easiest way out, yes? So that is what they will look for in map. Location, state is correct. Perfect location, see, we are all human. We will not exactly mark it to the dot, right? Some 1 or 2 up and down it will go, right? Little bit, but that's okay. But please make sure that you all identify it correctly, right? Ma'am, is it okay to mark in a particular state? Going back, see, Hirakud is here, right? Now imagine this is where it is given, the dam. But I go and I mark it somewhere here. Then it is not correct, incorrect, right? But imagine if Hirakud Dam, maybe I mark it instead of here, I mark it little above that. It's okay. Little above is doable, right? But here, if it is supposed to be and you mark it in the border somewhere here, then gone, right? So that is what you need to understand. See, map wala session mate is going to basically be like for the session that's going to happen tomorrow. The map session, like I told you, is going to tell you what are the map items and what are some simple tricks that you can elaborate on it. I am not going to go into detail and mark all of it, right? Because again, like I said, when it comes to map tricks, I am a person who believes that each of us have our own way of learning it, right? I am a teacher who believes in that, which is why in this case, I tell you that understand what is there. So the session tomorrow is just going to be snips of what we have learned earlier, right, in the marathon session. So that's why I'm going to tell you that it's simple enough if you go ahead and you learn it your own way. Yes? Now moving on to the next one, right? So everybody, for those of you who are clear with what we did, right, whatever you have learned about it so far and you are sure and you're okay with it, you can leave the class, right, because now I'm going to take some doubts. Now some of you are asking me, Syed has doubts from, yes, I will take doubts. It's going to be a premiered video, but it's basically stitched off from my main marathon session, right? Everybody, those of you who are clear, right, all of you who are clear with for economics and geography, whatever doubts are there, you can ask me. Yes, communalism, all please ask Ankita ma'am, right? Forms of, or everything like I said, related to economics and geography. Ma'am, I gave an example of country A and country B where one has equitable distance. Question number 30, yes, Syed, that works. You can do that. Ma'am, can you explain different forms of coal, right? So we know that there are, when you talk about different forms of coal, we know that, see, I'm not going into details of it because at this point, if I start, it's going to be too much, right? But we know that there are different types of coal based on how much of moisture content is there, right? And based on how much carbon content is there, right? And at different levels, we know that we have different kinds of coal. So it starts with peat, right? Which is kind of brownish in color and it's very light brownish. And as we go, we have bituminous coal, we have lignite, anthracite, right? All the different kinds of coal that is there. So those are the different forms and you just need to know it in order, right? Is KCC an institutional reform? It is an institutional reform, right? All right. Ma'am, industry and manufacturing is different or no? Industry is a factory, right? So you can say that industry is a huge setup where you have different kinds of people involved. Manufacturing is one kind of industry, mainly a huge industry where production takes place, right? See, subsistence that is there. Somebody here, I think, Sai Tejashri, that is there, right? Sai Tejashri is asking me, ma'am, difference between subsistence farming and primitive and intensive, right? See, subsistence that is there is the overall thing where you have a small plot of land, right? So in a small plot of land, you cultivate and you grow. Now, primitive is when in that small plot of land, you practice or you do it in a slash and burn manner. But in intensive, it is basically that in the small plot of land, you are using high intensive chemicals and expecting high output, right? So that is what we mean by this. Ma'am, I learned that in per capita income is used in measuring development, but it's not. Can you explain? See, per capita income is one among many things that are there, right? The average income. Although it has its own disadvantage, it also tells you what is the average income of the country, right? It has its own disadvantages, which is why there are various other calculations which are there, which is incorporated, right? Ma'am, water is a renewable resource. So why is water scarcity there? Why is water a renewable resource? Because of the water cycle that is there, right? Whatever water gets evaporated. Then we know that there's a hydrological cycle which is there, wherein we know that there is precipitation. It goes back, the groundwater, and it is getting used. So whatever water is going, it is coming back, right? But at the same time, why is there water scarcity? From this, imagine I have 10 liters of water, which is part of water cycle, right? And I unnecessarily exploit, right? That means either due to pollution, some 5 liters of water is gone, right? Or imagine I'm using it I'm over irrigating and I'm unnecessarily over consuming whatever is necessary and 5 liters is gone. So then whatever my initial is here, it is 5 liters, right? So this is where we understand that this factors results in the level in the amount of water. But why is still water a renewable resource? Because whatever is left can go and can get renewed. That is what we mean by this, right? So this is Jarvis, the explanation for this, right? Ma'am, is it compulsory to write about write more than 5 points? You can write more than 5 points or you can write exactly 5 points. What were the technological reforms in agriculture? Technological reforms mainly included all of your white revolution, green revolution, using more tools, making sure that we use a lot of manure, fertilizer, all of that, right? So that is what we mean by this. MNC main investment. MNC is mainly in, so basically when they have capital, they'll be able to take it up, right? And they bring in foreign investments. Yes? Federal government, everything, drop in the comments. Ankita ma'am is going to answer those doubts. Yes? Age of industrialization, please ask Ankita ma'am because she's the better person. GDP, gross domestic product, which talks about the total finances and final goods and services produced by each sector for that particular year. Yes, industrialization is having more industries and factories open. Urbanization is when more services come up in urban areas, where more services are there, where we have more wherein we see that there is more amount of services that are available, right? All right, Grameen Bank, read it, it's important, please do read it, okay? So I have tried Narmada Bachao Andolan. Shriyansh is very simple, right? So Narmada Bachao Andolan was mainly against the Sardar Sarovar dam that was built on the Narmada river, wherein a large population of people were, they were asked to move away, right? And as a result, we know earlier it started with an environmental impact because it was damaging so many people. But at the same time, we know that there was also a social impact that was there. Ma'am, international accepted mode of check in the development of a nation. See, there are multiple parameters, right? But quality of life is what they aim for. And what improves quality of life? If you have access to education, access to health, so on and so forth. Yes? So now I know that a lot of you here have a lot of doubts. So first and foremost, everybody, lifelines of national economy is also important, right? So everybody, please go ahead and watch the Maha Marathon sessions where a lot of these questions have been taken. We are going to be doing a lot more sessions in the upcoming days where we are going to do the 100 questions marathon for subjective ones, where we will be doing a lot of these questions, right? So you know we have got you quite covered, and I hope all of you here have made sure that you have liked this video, right? Any more doubts that you have, let me know in the comments of this video. And at all times, you know we have got you covered. See, we try our best, right? We try our best to help you in whatever way. Now understand that your map work is one section F that comes for 5 marks. But in the remaining marks, if you are able to score just by understanding the basic things, I hope all of you here are happy, right? Please make sure that you don't take stress about these small things, right? Map is very important, but always remember that don't take too much stress about it also, because the rest of it you will be able to easily score. Yes? And everybody, with this, I will be signing off. Today there was no mentee, but today's class was a very simple class to quickly revise all the important topics, right? Yes, okay. Now, of course, everybody, in this particular test, right, as you all know, whatever marks you have got, it's just not to tell you, right? See, whatever you got, whether you got whatever it is, closer to the final mark or, maybe far away from it, let me tell you that at the end of the day, whatever marks you score here in the mock paper is just for you to understand what are your strong points and what are your weak points. If you feel like history, you have a lot more studying to do and you have a lot more things to remember in history and political science or geography, please identify your weak points and please make sure that you revise those topics, right? So please revise the topics that you are not feeling confident about. And CBSE does not provide an official blueprint telling you nationalism in India, say 5 marks will come, or from this particular chapter, this particular mark will come. They never release it officially, and we as teachers, we follow CBSE quite meticulously. So we know that there are most probable questions that can come and all that we can revise, right? So everybody, please make sure that you all focus on revising. We made a very light timetable so that today and tomorrow after your Sanskrit exam, some of you would have had Sanskrit. After the exam, you did a quick revision of social sciences. Now see, your social science ka revision ho gaya. Now you go and start studying for IT, right? After your IT exam only, we are going to be doing your main revision for social sciences. Yes? So everyone, quickly please make sure that you hit the like button. I wish you all the very best for your IT exam. Do really well. Don't take stress. You have good amount of time. Take a break and get started with that preparation. I will see you all soon. Up until then, everybody, take care. Lots of love and bye-bye.